I don't really think we talk about the positive curveballs. My self-destructiveness was a result of my success. It was just in a very sunken place of defeat. I wasn't gonna vlog today. It's Sunday. Hopefully you can hear me. I think I keep forgetting. It's so hard because for me it's hot in here to turn off the AC. I guess I can turn it off for like 5 minutes. Okay, I forgot how quiet it is in here. Okay, ignore how I'm looking. Ignore the presentation. None of this matters. I wasn't gonna vlog today at all. I just came back from a walk. I woke up, I was on my phone, you know, and I was like, I don't know. It was one of those things where it was like, my gut feeling was like I need to go outside and need to experience going outside. But I was also trying to balance not wanting to go outside literally at all. Clearly got up and went outside and it was so nice and it was so relaxing and so necessary. It's so weird. I have such a weird relationship with the camera, and I know I've said this 10 million times, but who knows? Maybe there's new faces here. Maybe it's the same faces. I don't know when the last time is that I've said it, but obviously the whole point of this YouTube channel is for me. I document things for myself. I've always loved to document, but I wish that I always kept it, because a lot of stuff I would like easily delete because I wasn't putting it anywhere or doing anything. I'm like, I would have loved to see what 18-year-old me and 17-year-old and 20-year-old, like even 8 years old, all those thoughts that I was having and things that I was thinking and what life was like, because right now they're nothing but a bunch of memories in my head, and obviously over time memories fade, and I just like wish that I always kept that. So yeah, it's like the whole point of this is for me, but I also know in reality, hopefully my channel will continue to grow, or hopefully more people discover me. And even if no one does, the reality is whether it's 2 people, 10 people, 30 people, 80 people, like there are people who are clicking and watching my videos and choosing to watch it every single time I upload, and it's really nice. I'm really appreciated it. It's cool to kind of see that people are somewhat interested, or that, you know, I don't want to value myself based off validation from others, but the reality is that even if you live your life to not experience it, it sure as hell is nice to kind of have that. But that wasn't really the point. The point is that because I document for myself, sometimes when there's moments where I'm having really hard times, sometimes I pick up the camera, sometimes I don't. And the past like month and a half or so, I haven't really picked up my camera. For the month of May, I didn't film like at all. I literally filmed a clip of me saying something on May 1st and a clip of me saying something on May 29th. And the reason for that was because I was so busy with grad shoots. Sorry, my voice is going. I had so many grad group, so much editing to do. I had 33 grads this year, which maybe to another person that's like, oh, only 33, but that's so many photos to edit. That's hours of time that I took. Like, it's a lot of time, even if it doesn't seem like a high number. Like, even people are like, oh, I shot like 40 weddings a year. Maybe that doesn't sound like a lot when there's 365 days, but it's like, it's a lot of work that goes into being a photographer. So that was literally like my month of May. At that point, I was getting to like all day, all night working. My brain was so tired. My eyes were exhausted. It was just a lot to deal with, and it was just a lot. Let's just leave it at that. So I didn't really film. And so for the weeks after, I was like, okay, I'm gonna give myself like a few days just to rest, and then it's time to get back to work, trying to build more clientele in the city and stuff like that. And then Joe found out he was going abroad, and I don't remember if I've touched on this before. I'm sure I have in just my recent vlogs, but basically, long story short, with that, Joe and I made jokes before of like, oh my god, what if I came along with you? Originally, the whole idea was because he's studying abroad in Florence. I was like, oh my god, what if I just come to Florence and I'm doing my own thing? And then it was like, wait, I could just be traveling to other parts of the world. So then it became a Daysha's living abroad experience. What obviously inspired the idea was like, Joe and I have been in a long distance relationship for the last like 4 years. And so the idea was like, oh my god, like, we don't have to worry about long distance if we're in the same place. Like, I would love to travel too. And at first it was just such like an exciting idea for both of us, and then like I just said, then it kind of changed into Daysha's kind of own abroad experience. And so yeah, I put that idea on hold because that's what inspired it. Then the process for myself was like, okay, do I still want to go on the trip even if Joe doesn't go? Do I want to go for 1 month? Do I want to go for a full 3 months? What is it that I would want to do? And because I was so overwhelmed with just trying to do stuff for photography and grads, I decided to put that thought on hold. And so I wasn't thinking about it. I honestly at some point just mentally wasn't, because I wasn't thinking about it, wasn't really planning on it. And so then Joe got accepted like almost a week after I had my grad shoots, and now I'm in the situation of time crunch of like, holy shit, we had this whole idea. I keep saying wait, but let's just bring it back to I had this whole idea. I looked up tickets. I was not reserving Airbnbs, saving Airbnbs, like, and now this opportunity has kind of come up me again, and now it's like a time crunch because now it's almost end of June and it's supposed to be leaving in like August, September. So then I decided, fuck it, life's too short. I have no responsibilities. Like, why do I keep trying to live my life as if, I mean, my biggest responsibility I have is like pretty pert, but in terms of like, I don't have to stay back and take care of anyone. I don't have kids. I don't have job restriction. Like, there's so much where it's like, in this period of my life right now, and kind of seeing how COVID affected everybody and just getting to into a new way of thinking about life, it's like this felt like such a perfect opportunity to do this trip. Yeah, I decided to, it's gonna sound so cringe, I decided to full send and do the trip. So then I spent the next week trying to book a 3-month trip for myself in 1.5 weeks. And then obviously that extended to like 2 weeks. It's like, it's research after research after research. And I'm so happy because now I have a full trip. I'm very excited about my trip. I'm very excited about my itinerary. But because now I'm booking stuff in June, when we had this idea and started joking about this last fall, and I officially started looking at prices online in like January, February. It's a lot different to plan something then and a couple months before your trip. So everything significantly went up in price. And so the connection of this whole thing is, that's the background. For weeks after, I was so exhausted. I was so tired because I'm still coming off of doing the grad shoots. I'm still coming off from planning this trip, and I was so tired because things are so close. The trip has cost me so much for what I budgeted. For how much I thought it was going to cost me months before to how much it's probably going to cost me now. So much. And so when you quit your job, you obviously quit at a point where you're like, okay, this is how much I have for savings. This is how much I can last living on a strict budget. This is how much I can last living on a loose budget. And this is how much time I have to kind of build my photography and like figure out things and just figure out what it is that I want to do. So when you have all those months lined up, like I'm set for like 11 months if I literally make no money, to all of a sudden spending all that shit a lot, it's like now I'm in a situation where I don't really have a lot of money in terms of coming back. Like now I have to be a lot more stricter in terms of what I'm spending and choosing to spend, because now it's like when stuff starts adding up, it's like that's not gonna work because I still have to live the rest of my summer here in New York City. So that's caused a lot of stress in my head. I've been so tired, I've been exhausted, I've been I've been having just such a hard time mentally, and I haven't filmed any of that. Not saying that you need to film it. Probably everything I just said there, I probably could have just said it in like 3 minutes, but that's just a very detailed response. So I'm sorry if this is long. I think the biggest thing that I learned during this whole thing, life can throw you curveballs, right? We can go through life and you think everything's going well and just something happens, right? But I think we talk so much about negative curveballs, like someone getting sick, you run out of money, you get injured, something gets canceled and messes up your plan. It's like we think about so many of the negative curveballs that I don't really think we talk about the positive curveballs. It was interesting how my mental and my self-destructiveness was a result of my success. And I just thought that was so interesting because, not that this information is needed, but I made thousands of dollars from grad shoots this year. That's a huge deal. I was like, every single year I want to either double my profits that I make from grad shoots or double my grads. And so I did both of those things. I spent months right before really nervous of like, no one's booking me. I have literally 2 grads. Like, I'm relying on this to try to make myself some money. And it worked. I kept a positive mindset. I manifested everything. I was like, this is gonna work out, this is gonna work out, it's gonna work out. And literally within the month of April was just getting inquiry after inquiry after inquiry after inquiry, and me doing the necessary steps I needed to try to get myself out there, and it worked. It was really interesting to kind of see how, when you're so dependent on that success, when you're so dependent, because I think we live in a world where we measure success in different ways, especially financially and for reasons like that. For me, I felt so successful, and I started to measure that success much more greatly than measuring the success of months of working on myself, getting myself mentally to a point where I could believe in myself. And so because that's what I had measured my success as, which I do still think was successful, then when I saw kind of how I was mentally going for the time after, right? Because now it's like July 3rd, and I don't want to say I've wasted the last month. It's just the reality is I was tired. And when you're tired, you start to feel defeated. When you start to panic, now it's like I've spent so much more money, so now I'm looking at my bank account and I'm feeling just a lot more defeated and a lot more down. And so I know sunken places really technically another terminology, but I'm just going to use it to visually describe how I felt. It was just in a very sunken place of defeat, guilt, regret, like, you know, starting to go into that spiral again that I worked so hard to get out of now I'm starting to regret my trip. Now I'm starting to regret, should I have really taken this trip? It's cost me a lot. Starting to regret, sorry, pretty much obviously licking her. Starting to regret, man, should I have quit later? Man, should I have, when I was really depressed back in the fall time, I should have just sucked it up and dealt with it because I spent so much money. But I think it's reminding myself that even in moments where you feel like you want to regret, you have to take yourself back to the reality of that situation. For me, the reality is, even though I spent so much money, like so much money, between the months of like September to November, the reality is I was extremely depressed. For the first time, I had the funds completely at my disposal, completely my choice. I really gave no cares. I was really in a place of just, it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. Spend it, spend it, spend it. I don't give a fuck, I don't give a fuck. That's the reality. So I as much as I want to regret and be like, man, I wish things, it's like you can't live your whole life that way, because those are moments that are going to help shape you and give you certain experiences to learn from and to understand from. So it's like I can't sit here, as much as I want to regret it, it's like the reality is that's how I was feeling. As much as I want to regret not focusing on my photography business the last year I've been in New York City, the reality is that I came here for 2 weeks and it was just slowly getting extended. I wasn't thinking at all, let me grow my photography business, let me put this much pressure. And because of where I was mentally with my job, I wasn't happy. So even if someone said take photos on the weekend, I didn't have any energy or care enough in me to want to do that. It can be a hard reality to even accept now, to not live life with so much regret, because you have to take yourself back to how you felt in that moment, what you were dealing with in that moment. And so I've been struggling with a lot of that this last month. You know, at some point when I was being nervous about making money, I was nervous because I just want to be more conscious. I was like, I don't want to hit $0. I want to kind of just feel like I'm like spending something, making that much, spending something, making that much, and then get to a point where I'm making more. And so when you're getting to a point of like, holy shit, like what's gonna happen when I actually need to be in survival mode, it's scary. And sometimes the weirdest thing is reminding yourself of those stories of people who came to New York City with nothing but a backpack, a dream and $80. Like, do you know how many stories those are? Across the world. It doesn't even have to be in New York. So it's like, it's possible. You can do it. You just have to put in the work. And the biggest thing is to not feel so defeated, which was and still is my biggest struggle. When I was just walking through the park, I was just kind of reflecting on that, just trying to remind myself of the journey, of the beauty of the journey, of sometimes the struggle of the journey, and just realizing that that is all of it. That is a part of it. Every journey is not going to be completely beautiful. Every journey is not going to be easy and smooth sailing. Like, it's going to take hard times. And I said to myself when I quit my job, I'm choosing courage over comfort. I committed to that. I praise that, and I can't give up on that idea now, even if times do get tough. I'm trying to look at life with a different outlook. And even I was talking to my mom the other day just about how nervous I am with how much money I'm spending and starting to feel like I'm regretting the trip. And she said, I forget exactly what she said, but something about like the way that I was thinking about it is of course going to lead me to kind of feeling regret versus looking at like, look at this money I'm spending to give myself this opportunity. Look how hard I work to get myself to a point where I can afford this trip. Coming at it with that mentality, because at the end of the day, this is such an experience that not everyone is, I don't want to say fortunate enough, but fortunate enough to kind of experience. The fact that I could afford going on a 3-month trip abroad post-pandemic. I mean, I'm kind of going on a rant here. This was a completely unorganized rant to the camera. But I guess my point is, because I could probably sit here and talk all day, the point is that to not give up, and that's easier said than done. To remind yourself of where you are, of where your reality is, where you dream to be, where you're at, and to just try your best to keep such a positive mindset, because that's what I've struggled with. That's what I've been struggling with. I'm still struggling today. I'll probably still struggle tomorrow, but it's a progress of trying to get myself back there to feeling better, because like that's when success is going to come. And also learning not to measure success in dollars or on what we're told success is. It's measuring what it is for yourself. Obviously, we live in a world where you need money to survive. Like, that's just the reality. As much as I want to sit here and be like, money doesn't matter, I'm try my best not to feel as connected to it, because when you get really connected to money and all of that, you start living your life for it instead of living your life with a purpose and a reason, and just to keep trying and going for it and just living to live. You end up living for this dollar, for this money. And it's like, I don't want to be connected to it that way. I just want to be connected to it enough that me working my hardest and doing everything that I need to do and being positive and keeping a positive mindset is going to lead me there. Because the biggest thing that we always forget, and even I forget, I don't want to say everyone forgets, I don't want to talk for everyone, but at least for myself, is that we talk so much about, oh, manifest this, keep this thought process, imagine yourself where you are, for all the good stuff. But we fail to realize that we are also 100% capable of manifesting all the bad stuff that comes into our life. But even from little things, waking up in the morning and being like, today's gonna be a bad day, you're manifesting that's gonna be a bad day. And so it's realizing that our thoughts and everything are so important. And I have to remind myself of that, and that's what I'm working on. Yeah, like I said, I could talk about this all day. I don't want to make this long. I don't even know if there was a point or lesson that came across from that or anything. But I just want to remind myself how beautiful the world is and how beautiful everything is. And money will always come back. Relationships, you'll keep gaining those. Your self-love will go up and down as long as you stay positive and keep doing your best to trust in the universe and trust in your own journey and life path. Everything will work out. The struggle, the beauty, all of that is a part of the journey, and sometimes it's hard to kind of remember that. And so I hope that although this ranting was just as much for myself, I hope it was beneficial to you as well. Sorry, my voice is cracking. Hope it was beneficial to you as well, and I'm just excited to keep seeing where life's taking me and trusting in it. I'm just very excited.